Smart 24, driving business.
Yes, we'll be back from the break. Like I told you, we shall be having our business update, and well, there is a very interesting aspect in there. But maybe before we go in there, let me give you some simple quote. I'm not going to defer to anything else, but since we are in now 2025, I really perceive something. You know, in most cases, we don't take certain statements seriously, but if you get time to really meditate upon the statements, you realize how deep into them. For example, you cannot expect to be doing the same thing over and over again, and you expect the results to change. You know, that is, and it's so amazing that most of the people you meet around, they aspire to be quite a lot of things. But when you take a look at yourself, how long or what time during your day do you spend trying to pursue that thing you claim identifies you? Many times we claim things we identified with, whereby I remember some time back when some people back in school didn't want to actually study, and they thought perhaps if I don't study, my talent can actually bail me out. But then if you say your talent can bail you out, are you sure that, are you willing? Because the industry in which you're going to compete with, people spend almost 95% of their time doing what they want to be, that thing that identifies them. Then for you, only spend about 35% practicing something that you claim identifies you. Then you're deceiving yourself at the end of the day. You are deceiving yourself, you know, because you are into an industry where people 24/7, they are doing that all throughout, you know. So when you try it out, you leave your books to pursue that, and then before you know it, you don't fit there. You know, that is very absurd. You realize that you don't fit there. So let's always think about that. Let's keep doing something different. If there is something that we claim that defines us, then let's be that. You know, spend at least 80%. At least, even if it's not 80%, at least try to make sure that the time you spend trying to pursue that you claim identifies you is at least about 50%. It will be okay. But 35% wouldn't be walking out. All right, that is the quote of the day today. Since it's 2025, so everything has to be new. And the approach, of course, ought to be new. Now, heading into our business update, President Museveni predicts the rise in coffee prices amid the severe drought in Brazil, Vietnam. That is in Brazil and Vietnam. Now, Uganda, often referred to as the Pearl of Africa, boasts a rich agricultural heritage, with coffee standing as one of its most significant exports. Now, the nation's coffee industry has actually been a cornerstone of its economy, providing livelihoods for the millions and contributing substantially to the foreign exchange earnings. However, recent developments, including the dissolution of the Uganda Coffee Development Authority and the global market fluctuations, have actually introduced a complex array of challenges and opportunities for the Ugandan coffee farmers. Now, coffee cultivation in Uganda dates way back in the 20th century, with both Robusta and Arabica varieties thriving in the country's diverse agroecological zones. Now, over the decades, coffee has actually evolved into a vital economic driver, with Uganda making top of the coffee-producing nations globally. Now, the establishment of the UCDA in 1991 marked the significant milestone, aiming to regulate and promote the coffee sector to enhance the quality control and support the farmers' research and development initiatives. Now, despite the fact that it was resolved, but what was it really doing at that particular time? Now, the UCDA had played a pivotal role in shaping Uganda's coffee industry. Now, its responsibilities encompassed overseeing the entire coffee value chain, that is from the production, talking about processing, and of course, and also marketing for export. Export. Now, through the quality assurance programs, the Uganda Coffee Development Authority ensured that the Uganda coffee met international standards and thereby enhancing its competitiveness in the global markets. Now, additionally, the authority facilitated farmer training programs, disseminated research findings on improved coffee varieties, and implemented what we call the pest and disease control measures. Now, later on now, we see the dissolution of the Uganda Coffee Development Authority. Is it a rationale or a controversy? Now, in December 2024, President Yoweri Museveni signed the National Coffee Amendment Bill into law, effectively dissolving the Uganda Coffee Development Authority and transferring its functions to the Ministry of Agriculture. Now, proponents of this move urge that it aligns with the government efforts to streamline public agencies, reduce administrative costs, and eliminate redundancies. Now, they definitely contend that integrating coffee sector oversight into the Ministry of Agriculture will actually foster more cohesive approach to what we call to agriculture development. However, this decision has sparked considerable debate among the stakeholders, whereby we see that critics express concerns that dismantling the UCDA could actually lead to lapses in quality control and disrupt established support systems for the farmers and undermine Uganda's position in the global coffee market. Now, the members of the parliament from coffee growing regions have actually voiced fears that the dissolution may negatively impact the industry's stability growth, of course, drawing parallels to challenges faced in other agricultural sectors following the similar reforms. So, now let's now drive it a little bit. We'll take a look at it from the perspective of Africa. Now, we're making the picture a little bit bigger. Now, the global coffee market is currently experiencing significant volatility, influenced by factors such as adverse weather conditions in major coffee-producing countries like Brazil and Vietnam. Now, severe droughts in these nations have actually led to substantial declines in coffee output, driving up prices to levels unseen, and that is in decades. For instance, Arabica coffee prices have actually soared to heights not observed since 1977, while Robusta prices have actually reached record highs due to anticipated shortages. Now, these developments present both challenges and opportunities for Ugandan coffee farmers. On the other hand, higher global prices could actually also translate into increased earnings for the producers. On the other hand, the dissolution of the Uganda Coffee Development Authority raises questions about the industry's capacity to effectively navigate these market dynamics without the established support and regulatory framework that the authority provided. Yeah, how is it really going to be practical in that sense? Now, the transition of responsibilities from the Uganda Coffee Development Authority to the Ministry of Agriculture definitely introduces a period of uncertainty for Ugandan coffee farmers. Now, key concerns include the continuity of quality assurance measures, access to extension services, and talking about the effectiveness of the marketing and promotion activities. Now, the farmers fear that the absence of a dedicated authority may actually lead to decreased support, potentially affecting productivity and income levels. Moreover, compliance with international regulations such as the European Union's deforestation regulation adds another layer of complexity. The UDR requires proof that exports like coffee do not originate from deforested land, pressing coffee traders to enhance traceability systems amid the complex supply chains. Now, let's take a look at that. Now, amidst these challenges, as we're talking about them, inspiring stories of resilience and innovation emerge from Uganda's coffee sector. Now, in Gisu region, traditionally dominated by men due to cultural restrictions, the women entrepreneurs there actually are revolutionizing the coffee industry. How? Initiatives like Bayaya Specialty Coffee, Kala Mogosi, and Gender Coffee Masters have actually led by women such as Nandudu Merida, Nakayenze Sandra Chiboli, and also we have a lady known as Nabutewa. And these are leading, when it comes to coffee growing. But they are challenging also the societal norms and increasing the female participation in coffee cultivation and trade at the same time. Now, these enterprises not only empower women, but also promote financial education and improve agronomic practices, contributing to enhanced family outcomes and living conditions at the same time. Now, what is the future of this, the future prospects, and also the recommendation? Now, as Uganda navigates, support to ensure that the ministry of Agriculture is adequately. Sorry about that. I just digressed a little bit from the report. Okay, I was trying to say that as Uganda navigates this transitional phase, it is imperative to adapt strategies that safeguard advanced interests. That is important, of the coffee farmers. Now, recommendations could include strengthening inter-institutional support, ensure that the Ministry of Agriculture is actually adequately equipped to assume the roles previously managed by the UCDA, maintaining continuity services provided to the farmers. Now, we have enhancing quality assurance, also implement robust quality control mechanisms to preserve the reputation of the Ugandan coffee in international markets, as we see that working out. So these are part of the future prospects that have been cited out as I'm still proceeding with this report to see what really this entails. So coffee, we see the coffee producing countries are actually, there is some havoc in there that has been characterized by the climate change related activities, and part of these countries that have been mentioned includes Brazil and Vietnam. So what does that mean? So it means that Uganda actually stands a chance with its favorable climate and the weather patterns. It stands a huge chance to actually participate into this very market, the coffee market. So what is it? What is its contribution to that? I remember one of the gentlemen within the private sector foundation say that they had actually gone to a country, I think it was in South Africa, and they managed to take some coffee, a certain brand of coffee, and the brand of coffee was actually coming in from, I guess, from Europe. It was coming from Italy, I guess. Italy? It must have been Italy. Italy there. So in the process, when they get to test this coffee, it tastes really nice. And they take a look at where this coffee comes from, and it's coming from Europe. But later on, somebody says, yes, it comes from Europe, but the original coffee is actually obtained from Uganda. It's just processed in Europe and now brought back to Africa. Even Uganda inclusive. So I feel like we have all what it takes, and the president has actually been very vocal about this. But despite the attacks, people are still not really connected ever since the dissolution of the Uganda Coffee Development Authority, because according to the comparisons, according to the benchmarking, when you realize most of the countries that have good coffee, that are performing really great on the global market for the coffee, you realize that there is an independent body that is responsible for coffee. It's literally taken out of the government's hands, and it's the people that drive this, So this is something that is also advantageous in some kind of a way. So should we say that anyway, let me say this. Uganda can actually take this advantage and disapprove the world or the entire country that actually, despite the fact that Uganda Coffee Development Authority was dissolved, the ministry can still handle it, because there is a window for that. Brazil, Vietnam, they're all suffering. They ain't producing what they were producing before. Now Uganda is rising up fresh. So the Ministry of Agriculture can actually use this as the advantage to prove to the masses, to prove to the people that despite all this, we still can make things work. We can make things happen by all means as a result of that. All right. That brings us to the end of this particular segment. Now, allow me go for a short break, and I'm returning with entertainment. Stick around.
Smart 24 Driving Business.
For those who have been following TechBite, we have been talking about the Neuralink some months ago, and we are back to talk about the approval. Now, Elon Musk's Neuralink is recruiting patients for its first human trial. Now, what are the key points to take away from this TechBite? One is that the neurotech startup Neuralink has received approval to begin recruiting patients for its first in-human clinical trial. Two, the company is building a brain implant that aims to help patients with severe paralysis control external technologies using neurosignals. Three, the initial goal of the BCI is to grant people the ability to control a computer cursor or keyboard using their thoughts alone. Now, Neuralink wrote this in a very big blog post. Now, point number 4 that is very key to my tech lovers is that the neurotech startup Neuralink will begin recruiting patients for its first in-human clinical trial. The company announced this just in this month in a very big blog post. Now, Neuralink said that it is officially seeking patients since it has received approval from an independent institution review board and a hospital site. Its next step is now to move to the market. It's going to have a very long road to the market, and it comes after the startup recently receiving approval from the Food and Drug Administration in May to conduct its first in-human clinical study. Patients who participate in the trial will have to undergo invasive brain surgery. Neuralink is building a brain implant that aims to help people with severe paralysis control with external technologies using only neural signals. Now, what does this mean to patients who are receiving this invasive brain surgery? One, it means that the patients with severe degenerative diseases like the LLC could eventually regain their ability to communicate with loved ones by moving cursors and typing with their minds. Imagine someone typing with their mind. What a wonder Elon Musk has done. Now, the initial goal of BCI is to grant people the ability to control a computer cursor or keyboard using their thoughts alone. The company said in the blog post that the Neuralink did not immediately respond to the request for the comments. Now, interestingly, as we conclude, is that the Neuralink is part of the emerging brain-computer interface, which centers on systems that decipher brain signals and translate them into commands for external technologies. Several companies have developed promising systems that they hope to bring into the market, but Neuralink is perhaps the best known name in the space due to Musk himself, who is the CEO of both Tesla and SpaceX. Now, as of September, no BCI company has managed to clinch the FDA's final seal of approval, but we are receiving the go-ahead to recruit for a study with human patients. Neuralink is now one step closer. Goodbye, my tech lovers. Until we meet next time.
Chichi. Baby, ababbi bakutte abapoliisi tulina obeera mu nsonga zino. Ababbi bakutte abapoliisi.
This is Matoma, and well there, scored against the club with which he won the title more than a decade ago, and it's the 100th goal.
Upgrade to become BFF with the Premier League and enjoy football's best moments at only 90,000 shillings. Go TV Uganda. Love it.
We all have that one friend, always by your side for the big moments and ready to assist. He's always got his eyes on the prize and his heart in the right place. Where would we be without our BFFs? This season, enjoy all 380 Premier League games with your BFF GoTV. Upgrade or reconnect to GoTV Super Plus for the discounted price of just 90,000 shillings today. GoTV Uganda. Love it.
Okuba omusinguzi oyine kuba stede nka Tiger. Konka korigura amashita na MTN Momo okusingura kworobi. Kozesa Momo app ningashi imata star emwe mukaga itano star ishatu hash. Teka mu merchant code, teka mu muhendo gwesente, teka mu Momo pin, oshashuri. Congratulations! Emotoka yawe shemerirwe kandi watunga omugisha gwo kusingura mobile money na MTN Momo.
Abasaabaze baffe yongera okubongera obubaka buno mugezeeko mutambule nga bukyali mwavoidinge entambula eri one sided ejja kubeerako situle nnyo. Sekukuru musobole okulya sekukuru obulungi. Bannange benkola nabo munamirembe basitamino wano namwe mwenna mbagaliza sekukuru ennungi nga bwe nfunye ka chance kano. Abakozi baffe badriver abatukolera n'abakozi abalala bonna betukozesa mu paaka and generally abantu bonna abali mu baasi ne Uganda yonna okutwaliza awamu baagaliza sekukuru ennungi ey'omwaka guno 2024 ate muyingire bulungi mu mwaka 2025 gubabeerere mulungi mufune gubeere gwa byanfuna kubanga ffe kyekitubeeza wano mu bibuga omwaka gubabeerere gwa byanfuna.
Smart 24, driving business.
Yes, we'll be back from the break now, heading straight into what is happening into the world of entertainment. A female artist's success helps to arrest a 20-year slide in the United Kingdom sales of physical music. So we get to realize that despite all the digitalization that we're talking about, the physical music is still actually very relevant into the industry. Now, the resurgence of the UK music industry, where we see the female artists and the vinyl revival. Now, the UK music industry has actually witnessed a remarkable turnaround in 2024, breaking free from a two-decade-long slump in physical music sales. Now, female artists have actually spearheaded this revival, reshaping the landscape of the recorded music and redefining the power of the human artistry in the age of digital domination. Now, if we take a look at the historic, it's actually been a historic year, most especially for the female artists. Now, this year marked a profound shift in the United Kingdom's music scene, now with female artists dominating the charts and carving out that indelible impact. Now, they claim the top spot in single sales, that is for 34 out of 52 weeks, and accounted for half of the top 20 albums. Now, a groundbreaking achievement that highlights the growing influence of women in the industry. Now, among the most notable successes were albums by Taylor Swift, Sabrina Carpenter, Billie Eilish, and Charlie XCX. Now, Taylor Swift's latest album, that is the Tortured Poets Department, emerged as the year's best-selling vinyl, surpassing even Oasis iconic that definitely may be in popularity. Now, this achievement underscores the culture and commercial sway for the female artists' wield that is in the modern music landscape. Now, let's talk about the revival of the physical formats, of the music, because this is something that we cannot really deal away with, the revival of the physical formats. Now, despite the digital revolution, physical music formats have proven their resilience. Vinyl records, in particular, and have enjoyed a renaissance, marking their 17th consecutive year of growth. Now, sales surged by 9% to reach the 6.7 million units, demonstrating a deepening appreciation for the tactile and nostalgic appeal of demonstrating and deepening appreciation that is by the tactile and that appeal. Now, similarly, CD sales, while declining in the recent years, such a much lower drop, with just 300,000 unit decrease, thanks to the enduring demand of iconic bands like Coldplay, whose album Moon Music led the pack. Now, overall sales of physical formats, included cassettes, rose to about 17.4 million units in 2024, reversing the downward trajectory of the past 20 years. Now, this revival complements the continued dominance of streaming services, which accounted for about 178 million album equivalent units, pushing the total market to a record-breaking of 200.5 million. Now, streaming and the future of music consumption. Now, streaming remains to be the backbone of the UK music industry, with an 11 million unit increase in what we call the album equivalent sales over the previous year. Now, take a look at platforms like Spotify, Apple Music, and YouTube have actually revolutionized access to music, providing fans with instant access to an expansive library of songs. Now, however, this growth also brings challenges such as streaming fraud and questions about their revenue distribution for the artists. Now, while the music industry celebrates its achievements, it faces a looming threat. Artificial intelligence. The British phonographic industry has raised serious concerns about proposed changes to the UK copyright laws. Now, these changes would actually allow artificial intelligence companies to use artists' work without obtaining permission or providing payment. Now, critics urge that this undermines the value of human creativity and also poses a significant risk to the livelihoods of musicians and other creative professionals. Now, the Twitch CEO of the BPI emphasized the importance of safeguarding artistic integrity in the face of rapid technological advancements. Now, the UK's music industry is a global powerhouse, but this status can actually not be taken for granted. Of course, some of the experts warned that they need policies that prioritize the human artistry and foster investment in future talent. Now, the UK's challenges with artificial intelligence and copyright are definitely not unique. Around the world, as we see, creative industries are grappling with similar issues. This is a fact. Now, for instance, bodies representing artists, writers, filmmakers, and photographers have actually voiced strong opposition due to the use of their work for AI training without proper compensation. Now, this debate underscores a broader struggle to balance innovation with respect for intellectual property. Now, the question is, why the physical music? Why physical music still matters? That is the question. Now, the resurgence of vinyl and stabilization of CD sales reveal a persistent consumer desire for tangible connections to music. Now, in an era dominated by digital convenience, physical formats offer sensory experience that streaming can actually not replicate. Now, they serve as both nostalgic nod to the past and also a statement of support for artists, as physical sales often provide higher revenue per unit than streaming. So physical copies are still very relevant in terms of profitability of the artist. So we cannot entirely put them off, because the report says that the resurgence of vinyl and the stabilization of CD sales reveal a persistent consumer desire for tangible connections to music. So consumers always desire to have that feel, because when you have this physical copy, some people are so emotional with music that he can actually have an album. He bought a CD of an album and he decides to keep it in his bed. It sleeps just beside his pillow, and that's how people feel attached. And from that emotional perspective, the music creators get to realize that, hey, we still need to keep these formats. We still need to keep the physical formats out there because we are so attached to them. Now, in an era dominated by digital convenience, physical formats offer a sensory experience that streaming can actually not replicate. Streaming can't replicate that performance, you can imagine. But the physical can actually. Now, they serve as both nostalgic nod in the past and a statement of support for artists, as physical sales often provide higher revenue per unit than streaming. Okay, now, the United Kingdom, the UK music industry stands at crossroads. On one hand, it is thriving, with the female artists driving unprecedented growth and physical formats making a comeback. Now, on the other, it faces significant challenges from the artificial intelligence, copyright disputes, and of course the evolving consumer preferences. Now, the path forward will actually require a delicate balance between embracing technological innovation and preserving the value of the human creativity. Now, by addressing these challenges head on and fostering an environment that can actually support the artists and their work, the UK music industry can actually continue to flourish both as a culture beacon and also an economic powerhouse. So there is a huge advantage that is coming along this. All right. Now, as we proceed along here, let me see. Something in here coming in from the Germany music industry. Okay, I'm not going to really get into that. But let's take a look at new countries that are actually emerging into the music scene. Countries that you've never even thought about. Now, technology, creativity, global momentum to power Indian music industry. Now, with the emergence of technology, you can see that countries that actually that haven't been so much sounding out in the music industry, like India, are now also coming in for that. Now, as the year concluded, it is essential to reflect on the key developments, challenges, and achievements that have shaped different sectors throughout the 12 months. Now, the year 2024 was marked by dynamic shifts, rapid innovation, and continued adaptation to both external factors and emerging trends. Now, annual feature. This is Adalgi's annual feature rewind revisits the different sectors and defines the key developments as well as the long-term impacts of those developments as we speak about that. Now, One of these is the music industry and the Indian economy in 2024. Now, 2024 was a landmark year for the Indian economy and the music industry alike. Now, the Indian economy maintained its robust growth trajectory with a significant strides in infrastructure, digital innovation, and international collaboration. Now, India's increasing appetite, most especially for the diverse localized content fueled by the rapid smartphone penetration and the affordable data, has significantly boosted the consumption across the sectors, including entertainment. Now, the music industry mirrored this growth, that is by benefiting from the digital revolution, that is very clear, evolving the consumption patterns and thriving creator economy. Now, streaming platforms maintain the dominant regional and what we call the independent music flourished, and live events rebounded strongly the post-pandemic, making 2024 a pivotal year for the sector. Now, of course, the overall has actually, the year has been a mixed bag for the music industry, marked by both promising strides and emerging challenges. On the other hand, the streaming model has actually opened what we call unprecedented opportunities for emerging artists, making it easier than ever to gain the visibility and also connect with the audiences worldwide. However, the rapid rise of artificial intelligence in music creation and the distribution has introduced the unforeseen complexities, raising the questions about copyright, authenticity, and the value of human creativity. Now, we did report a report by Spotify. It was revealing that actually we're seeing new trends, new categories that are emerging. For example, it seems like music that is sung in English now has less audience. So music in English. So English music has less audience as compared to the Spanish. Now, it seems like music that is sung in Spanish seems to be getting the overall attention from the world. Now, even Africa is also on the rising age. That's why I really believe, and it makes me believe like I think it's one of the opportunities that we have as Africa and other countries to actually stand out and dominate the music industry, regardless of what the world can actually think about us. So it is a challenge. I'll call it that way. It is a challenge that has been posed in here. Look at India. It's now rising up in the music industry. How are they doing that? They're leveraging on technology. How far in Uganda have we leveraged on technology when it comes to trying to advance the music industry in this country? Now, additionally, challenges like value gap in creator royalties, piracy, and the optimization of licensing revenues persisted, underscoring the need for robust collective rights management to ensure fair value for creators. Now, this duality highlights the evolving landscape of the industry, where innovation and disruption definitely go hand in hand, presenting opportunities and challenges as two inseparable sides of the same coin. Now, the key trends and developments as we can witness them: streaming platforms dominated the music industry revenue growth in 2024, driven by the increasing popularity of localized and regional language content. Now, enhanced by artificial intelligence-powered music recommendations, these platforms offered highly personalized user experiences, keeping the listeners engaged like never before. Now, the regional music emerged as a force to be reckoned with, captivating audiences across urban and rural areas. Now, significant investments in native language content not only fueled this growth, but also provided a substantial boost to regional artists, bringing their talent to the forefront. Regional music emerged as a force to be reckoned with captivating audiences across the urban and rural areas, and significant investments in native language content they did not only fuel this growth, but also provide a substantial boost for the regional artists. And now they're creating employment opportunities for some of them. Now, the creator economy thrived as independent artists gained unprecedented empowerment through the digital tools that allowed them to distribute, monetize, and promote their work directly to their audiences. Now, the platforms like social media and short video applications further amplify their visibility, creating vibrant opportunities for the self-made creators to flourish. Now, at the same time still, cross-border collaborations brought the Indian music to international platforms, opening doors for the Indian creators to enter the global markets, expand their reach, and cultivate new fan bases worldwide. Now, the live music and festivals made a strong comeback, marking the resurgence of the live events industry. Now, this revival definitely introduced fresh revenue streams for independent artists, creators, publishers, and also performance rights organizations, while also reigniting the magic of shared in-personal experiences. Now, definitely alongside these developments, we shall say that there is a growing emphasis on copyright awareness with increasing recognition of the importance of the music rights, licensing, and royalties. Organizations like IPRS played a pivotal role in educating the music industry. They played a pivotal role in educating the industry and advocating for creators' rights and fostering more informed and equitable ecosystem for all the stakeholders. So, India, there is quite a lot that can actually be discussed about that, but that is quite very positive. So, leveraging on technology is the way to go. How far have we Ugandans really gone to that? Well, it's a question about us. But of course, don't forget, still the physical copies are still irrelevant. This is due to the attachment index of the consumers who feel like they need to be attached to their, to what they desire with. So, that is something also worthy looking into. Now, the world at large is actually shifting. The former powerhouses don't have the influence any longer like how they used to be. So, how best you penetrate through is entirely up to you. And now you see, with the emergency of platforms like Spotify, these online platforms, Tidal, Deezer, and so many more. Now, artists can actually be able to penetrate through without having to go through a record label. Unlike way before, where the record label actually could give you money like advance, like $3 million United States dollars. Then you go produce an album, you do this, and before you know it, by the end of the album, you don't have any money left with you. Now you have to work hard, make the concerts, the sales, push the sales, come up with the money. And it was a little bit hectic and it was very exploitative. Quite a lot of artists really had it rough. And actually it explains why we saw Birdman and Lil Wayne having issues after some time. It was something that was actually based on that. It had some sort of some kind of a resemblance, in that way. So we gotta be careful with how we handle the platforms. Otherwise, we might end up missing out quite a huge deal, as we're trying to confuse ourselves in other realities that are not even existent in reality. So platforms now have made it easier. Now, what some of the artists do when they make the music, they normally they sign perhaps a contract with a certain distribution companies. Now, the artists work with distribution companies, whereby the company distributes your music on your behalf, on the streaming platform, and you agree on how much you share. You could say, for every sale you make, I give you 30%, or according to your agreement, so you retain the 70%. So, because it's all about maintaining business, friendship relations, and so many more. So, let us see how that will really turn out to be for that is for the music industry, whether these developments are really viable and reliable. Yeah, and that will be the great. It's 2025. Let's experiment quite some new aspects. Well, that is it from the entertainment side. Let's go for the break, and I'll be returning with the business side. But later on, at the top of the hour, I happened to get in touch with a lady. She was in Liberia for some time, and now she went to the United States of America. She's into the medical industry. But of course, now she's back operating in the United States of America and also in West Africa. And now she's trying to see how she can break through the Ugandan market. So we have all that exclusive, and we're going to be having it. I got in touch with him a few days ago, so we shall be getting to see what me and her interacted, and I believe what we shared will be something that is very vital and impactful to you and those aspiring to participate in the health sector. Well, let's go for the break, and I'll be returning with the business side.
Smart 24, driving business.
Amanya gange nze Nabaloga Barbara naviiridde mu Kiteezi nga mbadde nkola ebyemikono mu weaving ow'emikono nga naye nkozesa ngalo na mpiso neza bulijjo. Wano mazeewo weeks 2 mu training eno, nyongedde okukuguka mu kukola table mats nga nkozesa ebintu ebyaffe ebyawano ebya bulijjo ng'ebyayi, ewuzi, nga nkozesa kamashini. Naye obuzibu bwensanze mu kuyiga kwange kuno nti kineetagisa okuba nga nina mashini okusobola okwongera okukola ebintu byange nga bwe mbiyize nga nfunye kamashini. So neebaza aba GROW abatuteekekedde omusomo guno ne PSFU okututeekamu ssente ne batulowoozaako ne batuteekamu omusomo guno. Mbeebaliza ddala era obubaka bwempa basaba banteekemu obwesige ne ssente sobole okwongera omutindo gwange nga bwe nbiyize wano.
GROW, generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises.
Roda events manager z'abantu b'Embale babaletedde ebikunduko amagana na concert Embale SS Grounds nga lumu January 2025 sawa 2 ez'okumakya nga tuyingira paka eyo etunakoyera nga line-up kuliko Palaso, Gravito Butujo, Catherine Sasha, Kabako, Nofia Yuji, Dorothy Donna, Steve O, Asta, Warren Trixie n'abayimbi abalala bangi okuyingira mutwalo gumu abaana 15 VIP emitwalo 2 VIP emitwalo 3 emmeeza security ya Uganda Police booking emmeeza yo ku 0703 201 343 Sairasi ya Joji Kwata Bouncing Castles Sakasi Face Painting abaana tobalekayo bino nga bitegekeddwa Roda Events Managers.
This is Jordan. This is Jordan. When it comes to classwork, Jordan is magic. Jordan shines. Jordan makes his peers better. Jordan is a true leader. White Star Magic family, be a leader, be magic.
No matter your entertainment needs, Showmax has a selection of plans for you to choose from. The Showmax entertainment plan is perfect for you and your family. Watch Showmax originals, hit international and local series and movies. If you're a solo streamer, you can get all this on one mobile device. And for all the die-hard PL fans, catch all the live games on the Showmax Premier League mobile plan. Showmax has your back. Sign up today and let your streaming good life begin.
Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, is a picture-square country surrounded by rolling hills that sigh a profound effect upon the beams of the horizon. Uganda's capital city of Seven Hills basks of colonial, cultural, and religious significance. Over the years, its infrastructure has tested the wave of technology and development. The city is a bustling metropolis with more than 1 million people racing from congested street slopes to colorful markets. Uganda's hospitality nature breeds throughout 8 different tribes ranging from Bantu to Nilotic, sharing their happiness and different kinds of local foods. The phantom white Rwenzori mountain ranges soar into the sky. A mist blanket shrouds its floors. The extinct Elgon Mountain, with the largest volcanic base in the world. The rivers are the arteries of the forest beds with the source of the longest river, the Nile. As it flows, it grows and smashes into the rocks in a frenzy. The whooshing waves attract the whitewater rafters and bungee jumpers as they experience the adventure at its prime. Uganda experiences tropical climate in 2 seasons, the wet and dry seasons influenced by the topography of high mountains and hills, with the equator running across Uganda mitigated by the altitude. The game parks of Uganda are filled with various species of fauna and flora. The thick, vibrant verdant forests and grasslands snake their way through the flows of Mother Earth. Uganda truly has a remarkable, astounding signature mark from the other African countries. Let your destination voice rhyme with the rich culture and fascinating scenery of Uganda's beautiful nature.
24 Driving Business.
Yes, welcome back from that short break. You're still watching Smart Means Business. I'm Andrew Barigi, and this is our Business Inside. Like I told you, there is something that we're going to be really looking into that is very, very, very amazing. Now, this is coming in from the 2025 predictions, something that, the world is in just full anticipation, because it's going to be a year of massive events, but especially elections in various countries all across the world. The United States of America will be swearing in the president this very month in the late January there. And other countries are still polling in down to the ballots. The citizens are heading to for the ballots to vote the presidents. Now, the world is in flux. We see that new governments, new technology, new challenges will define our lives in the coming year. Now, we look through the telescopes and of the global initiative observatories to see what could actually be the horizon and here are some of the insights that we're going to be really that are which people say to watch out for. Now, war and peace. Now, the massive stash of trophy weapons has actually been piling up in Ukraine and Russia. And now the de-escalation of the conflict in Ukraine in 2025 could trigger an outflow of weapons and increase in violent crime in both sides for the broader, while continuation of the conflict could actually see Russia step up its weaponization of criminals abroad to carry out its dirty work, such as sabotage and assassinations. This is from a report from the global initiative that is against transition organized crime. Now, we'll also talk about the criminal convergence in North Africa and the Sahel. Now, the criminal ecosystems in North Africa and the Sahel are being shaped by the conflicts in Mali, talking about Burkina Faso, Niger, and Sudan, violence and instability are fueling what we call illicit markets in weapons, fuel, gold, and mercenaries are shaping the movement of people and goods in the Sahel. Now, the criminal actors in the region have actually benefited from these markets and the demand by the migrants and the refugees to move northwards. Now, these dynamics also increase the likelihood of further democratic backsliding and instability in the countries in the region in the coming year. Now, the test case. Now, we're taking a look at Haiti. According to the global initiative, as criminal gangs expand their control in Haiti, the international community will be tasked to take an operational response to reduce, to reduce the violence, the humanitarian crisis, and the threats to governance in each battered country. There is a case also of the Palermo Convention that turns green on its silver jubilee. Now, in 2025, United Nations member states will actually celebrate the 25th anniversary of the United Nations Convention against Transition Organized Crime. Now, in 2024, the G-Talk asked the question, is the UNTALK working? Will the anniversary be solely a nostalgic remembrance of a bygone international consensus to fight organized crime, or usher in a new era of cooperation to combat a common threat, which has actually evolved greatly since the convention was actually adopted in 2025. Now, the member states will also begin the discussions. You know, the member states will begin the discussions under the auspices of the UNITAR Conference of the Parties to also consider whether an additional protocol of environmental crimes is actually needed, marking a key milestone in discussions that is on this topic. Now, there is also trouble along the cocaine supply chain. Now, cocaine could actually have an impact on the elections in Ecuador in 2025, where the political violence may actually occur, and the anti-organized crime policies are a central theme in the campaigns. Now, the opening of the Chancy port in Paris is also something to watch out for 2025, and this massive infrastructure project supported by China could actually enable increased imports of precursors, counterfeit goods, and trade based on money laundering, as well as the potential establishment of direct cocaine routes in Asia. Now, unprecedented volumes of cocaine are transiting West Africa route to Europe, underpinned by some of the most sophisticated, that is organized crime groups, that is all over the world. But meanwhile, the demand for cocaine in Europe remains high. At the same time, the use of crack is spreading across Europe. In 2025, watch for the growing violence in Europe as a result of the competition over the lucrative market. Now, let's talk about the Wild West Africa. Remember, I'm reading a report from the Global Initiative Against Transitional Organized Crime. This is their insight into the 2025 aspects that we need to watch out for. Now, armed non-state actors, including violent extremist groups, separatist groups, and mercenaries, are drawing from criminal economies, that is to expand their power and reach in West Africa. Now, their influence is spreading south across the region. Now, some of the illicit activities that finance these groups are cattle rustling, informal artisanal gold mining, and trafficking of motorbikes. Now, criminal economies are also driving violence in Nigeria. You know, they're driving a violence in Nigeria, perpetrated largely by armed bandits. Groups in the northwest who have actually moved from the cattle rustling to kidnapping of gold mining and forced labor. Watch this space come 2025. Now, good morning, Vietnam. Vietnam now. States will gather in Hanoi in 2025 for the signing ceremony of the new United Nations Cybercrime Convention, with all eyes on the United States, whose membership of the convention will likely be key to its impact. Now, the current U.S. administration, despite joining consensus on the treaty adaptation, in lukewarm about prospects for signing and ratifying, following intense lobbying against the treaty from the private sector. Now, the pieces are in place for the Trump administration, with close links to big tech to kick it to the long grass and faulty, of course, reject the joining. These are predictions. These are not predictions of Smart 24 TV, but these are predictions from the Global Initiative Against Organized Crime. You know, organized crime there. Now, tech for fraud. Now, scam compounds, technology for fraud, in other words, that's what they're trying to say. Now, scam compounds, for example, in Southeast Asia, have defrauded thousands of victims globally. Now, this by stealing billions of dollars. Pig butchering scams were just the start. What will the new scam in 2025 be like? Now, in the wrong hands, the rapid development of artificial intelligence and deepfake technology could actually exponentially increase the number of victims targeted, that is by both humans and automated bots designed to extort, commit fraud, and carry out other malicious activities such as identity theft. So that is all what to really look for. Now, incidents also with deadly synthetic opioids have been on the rise across Europe. Now, the main entry point is the flourishing illicit online market for prescription drugs, a problem that's far underestimated by the authorities. Now, meanwhile, the netizens, extremely potent synthetic opioids have actually exploded across areas of West Africa in the form of Kush, which has actually ravaged Sierra Leone, Guinea, and Liberia. Now, there is a serious risk that the opioid problem could actually spread further in 2025. So that is something to really watch out for this very year. Let's talk about Sudan's internal conflict, which is driving displacement. Now, next year, talking about 2026, but now this year, 2025, let me say that. This year, 2025, I just say next year because this report was actually published before we transited into 2025. So, in other words, right now I'm reading it when it's just 3 days old from the new year. But now let's say this year will mark the second year of the civil war in Sudan. Now, the chilling deja vu unfolding in a country once described as petri dish for every conceivable form of apocalyptic man-made misery has brought about the world's largest displacement of people, which in turn has rapidly shaped regional human smuggling networks. Now, a key question in 2025 will be whether the displacement will actually remain within Sudan's neighbors, mainly Egypt, talking about Chad, talking about Libya, or whether worsening the conditions facing them in the region will actually drive what we call a growing number to and back for Europe. Now, what about the road to Abu Dhabi? More the same on the road to Abu Dhabi. Now, throughout this year, 2025, states begin the preparatory process. That is for the 15th United Nations Crime Congress to be hosted in Abu Dhabi in April 2026. Now, through a set of regional meetings and then the first negotiation sessions of an outcome document, states will actually have the chance to reflect on the growing seriousness and evolving nature of organized crime. Now, recent crime congresses have largely agreed on a business as usual collection of agreed language. Now, in 2025, could states shift gears, or will it be more of the same? Will it be more of the same? Will the states shift the gears, or will it be more of the same? Let's wait and see. Now, will sanctions be a trump card? Now, that is also another anticipation this year. Now, during the first time in office, President Trump used targeted economic sanctions to counter organized crime and corruption. Now, his re-election would actually pertain to an even more robust use of sanctions to counter growing set of criminal challenges. But a key question will be whether the incoming Trump administration can develop more nuanced strategic thinking on the aims of sanctions on crime as distinct from those imposed on state-linked actors, which have actually tended to be lacking in the United States and international community broadly. So all that are going to be looking into. Now, let's talk about the gray markets. Now, if a trade war is ignited between the United States, talking about China, Mexico, and Canada, as well as Europe, watch out for a boom in illicit trade in accessible goods, namely the illicit transport, distribution, and sale of excise consumer goods to evade customs and taxes, the gray markets. Now, back to the wall. Can Mexico's new president, that is Claudia Sheinbaum, reduce homicides, disappearances, talking about extortion and other manifestations of organized crime-related violence? Can it be really? Now, the ongoing judicial reforms are aimed at reducing the corruption, but definitely criticize a state backward for justice, add to the challenge alongside the potential United States border tightening and increased deportations. So we're seeing that coming in from that. Now, these are part of the initiatives that we are looking into. Now, lastly, as we look into this, The Observatory of what we call illicit economies in East and Southern Africa is a network of civil society activists talking about researchers and journalists working across the region, coordinated by the GITOC with the hubs in Nairobi and Cape Town. Now, the observatory, of course, it was launched was launched in 2019, according to this, and aims to map and analyze criminal trends and illicit flows in the region, and through the regular reporting, in the risk bulletin, through the political economy and analyzes and the surveys of illicit economies across the region. All right, that's what we had for you at this particular point in time for our business side. For now, let's go into a short commercial break, and when I return in our next business side is when I told you when I got in touch with a lady from the United States of America, but based in Liberia. He went in Liberia 14 years, like I said, and he got citizenship. He was an immigrant, but he made it. He was able to establish a company which is now operating in West Africa, and now she's looking forward to expand her operations in the country Uganda. We shall be taking a look at that, and have yourselves a very wonderful time. But keep watching Smart 24 TV for the coming inside.
Smart 24, driving business.
Smart 24 TV. I want to wish you a very enjoyable Christmas. I must say that we pray that God gives you a very enjoyable, a very productive Christmas season. We call it a festive season. May you enjoy this festive season with love, joy, and peace. But importantly, remember that it's a time to plan together. It's a time to serve together. It's a time to recall what didn't go well and we correct it together. It is a time to refresh our minds so that we start the coming year 2025 with new morale, with new courage, with new inspiration to work hard, to progress together, and to make our country a better place than we have been in. And we want to live a Uganda that is more enjoyable, more developed, more classic, because we have potential to join the first world countries because of the beauty, because of the love of Ugandans, the hospitality, and the natural beauty that Churchill gave us when he described Uganda as the pearl of Africa. So I pray that in your homes, in your families, wherever you're going, carry love, carry peace, be of great value to communities, beginning with your family, to your community, and to the nation at large. I wish you a very enjoyable Christmas and a productive New Year 2025. God bless you richly.
Roda events manager abantu bembale babaletedde ebikunduko amaganana konsati Busines grounds nga lumu January 2025 sawa 2 ez'okumakya nga tuyingira paka eyo etunakoyera nga line-up kuliko Palaso, Gravito Butujo, Catherine Sasha, Kabako, Nofia Yuji, Dorothy Donna, Steve Asta, Warren Trixie n'abayimbi abalala bangi okuyingira mutwalo gumu abaana 15 VIP emitwalo 2 VIP emitwalo 3 emmeeza security ya Uganda Police booking emmeeza yo ku 0703 201 Sairasi yajojikwata Bouncing Castles Sakasi Face Painting abaana tobalekayo bino bino bitegekeddwa Roda Events Managers.
Ninsima Grow Project etwihiroko mbyaro ekatureta ahaha kuba turi abantu bingi tubeta kumanya ngo ntubasa kwikaha. Ninsima Grow etuyambere ekatwihoko ekatwegese ebintu bingi bitubeta kumanya ebintu byingi tubeta kubimanya tubeta kama ngo tubasa kukurakurana businesses zitu tubeta kweyikirizamu. Ninsima Grow abwo kutuyamba ekatwiho mu bingi ekatureta aha tukabasa kugira ekitwayega. Ninsima Grow abo kutu habula ntubasa kubaba mani ombwire bwo miso ekatekamu business nko kuturakore businesses zitu kurakurana nko kuturabe ntuhandika amabanja na nebitwafuna ningisima abo kuba etwerekera hante tukusopinga emyenda yatwerekera omwo wino yatwereka mu kiyembe na no mwahamu ndilenta kuchimanya na nabandi batahi banje bebata kuhamanya. So Grow etwerekera ebintu byingi yatwereka iba kusopinga dummies aha kasente kache yatwereka nko kuba kozesa ebiharani by'amasanyalazi. Grow ningisima nyombere nta kuchimanya ngo nimbasa kwiza nkole ki nyege charani cy'amasanyalazi kuba witikiriyo. Grow ningisima abo kutusupporting.
Grow, generating growth opportunities and productivity for women enterprises.
Cooking oil like no other makes your meal so sweet and scrumptious. Hey, the taste of Uganda. Yeah, I want ya. The taste of Uganda. Yeah, I want ya. Fortune family, the taste of Uganda.
Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, is a picture-square country surrounded by rolling hills that sigh a profound effect upon the beams of the horizon. Uganda's capital city of 7 hills basks of colonial, cultural and religious significance. Over the years, its infrastructure has tested the wave of technology and development. The city is a bustling metropolis with more than 1 million people racing from congested street slopes to colorful markets. Uganda's hospitality nature breeds throughout 8 different tribes ranging from Bantu to Nilotic, sharing their happiness and different kinds of local foods. The phantom white Rwenzori mountain ranges soar into the sky, A mist blanket shrouds its flows. The extinct Elgon Mountain, with the largest volcanic base in the world. The rivers are the arteries of the forest beds with the source of the longest river, the Nile. As it flows, it grows and smashes into the rocks in a frenzy. The whooshing waves attract the whitewater rafters and bungee jumpers as they experience the adventure at its prime. Uganda experiences tropical climate in 2 seasons, the wet and dry seasons influenced by the topography of high mountains and hills, with the equator running across Uganda mitigated by the altitude. The game parks of Uganda are filled with various species of fauna and flora. The thick, vibrant verdant forests and grasslands snake their way through the flows of Mother Earth. Uganda truly has a remarkable, astounding signature mark from the other African countries. Let your destination voice rhyme with the rich culture and fascinating scenery of Uganda's beautiful nature.
Smart 24, driving business.
All right, welcome to the Business Insight. I'm Andrew Barigi, and we definitely know that the year is coming to an end, and we are taking a look at some of those events that have actually been taking place, and they are quite very instrumental, most especially when it comes to the livelihood of the different peoples within the various continents and the various places of Oregon. Now, we've seen the massive immigrations that have really taken place from people living in Africa, heading to the diaspora, in the various, countries, some in the United States of America. And why is this really happening? Well, in a search for the greener pastures and to get the better opportunities. Now, this really poses a question. Have the African governments failed to provide solutions to the locals for their well-being? That's a very huge question for you to think about. But of course, various sectors that have attracted investment and opportunities are so immense in there. And one of them that we got interest in today is the health sector. Now, this is something that is very vital. Recently, we saw Turkey established a medical plant in here, meaning medical tourism being something of something very vital as we speak at this particular point in time. Now, with me in studio, I'm joined with a lady. She's been doing business in the United States of America. At the age of 14, she was, she approached America at the age of 14, and she went through various aspects to get where she is. She's currently operating in West Africa. She's operating in the United States, West Africa, and currently now coming into Uganda for various reasons. That is none other than Cole Quigley Fangalo.
Yes.
I'm very pleasure to have you
Thank
today.
you very much for having me. I'm honored. Yes.
Maybe just to kick start off this, what brought you to Uganda?
Many reasons. I came to Uganda this week or last week to celebrate with friends. And some of my friends happen to be my business partner or have been a huge support of the work I do, and they're Ugandians. So they were having some live events, so it was important for me to come and celebrate with them and also use it as an opportunity to do an assessment.
Okay, that is interesting. Now, you are into the medical industry, and it is something that is perceived to be of high end and very tricky. Most of the people are very scared. I can assure you that. How justifiable is this?
The health sector is a very rewarding field. It's a very impactful field. There's a lot of challenges, especially in the third world country or in Africa. And there's many challenges, and we definitely have a lot of work to do when it comes to strengthening our health systems.
Okay, a lot to do. Now, tell us about a bit of what you do and how the Ugandans benefit.
I am a public health practitioner, a registered nurse, an entrepreneur, a humanitarian. So I wear many hats. So recently I have a global health organizations, and we do a lot of work in the United States, and we also empower health centers throughout Africa in many countries, mostly my homeland, Liberia.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, of course, given that of what you do, let's talk about your story, how you got to America and how you got to make it, like how you've made it, and how you're coming back to Africa to bring back the service and the skills.
My story are like many Africans or many immigrants. I went to the United States in 1991. I was 14 years old, and it was due to the Liberian civil crisis, seeking refuge and just seeking a better life. Yes.
Seeking a better life. So what was it like for you? How were you able to drive a company from scratch to now having being a franchise of sort, like you can spread out, you can even have the branches, you can operate in West Africa, now you're going to be operating in Uganda, and I believe at the same time you'll still be operating in the United States of America.
Yes. Like everyone else, we all have a dream, and one of my dreams when I entered the United States was to always empower myself, and not just myself, my community, and Africa at large. Because growing up in Africa, we all have similar stories. Lack of health care, access to clean water, So going to America is an opportunity because everybody want to go to America.
Absolutely.
Do you want to go to America?
Definitely want to go to America.
So it's a land of opportunity and a lot of resources.
Yeah.
So it left for you to push yourself. Like anything, there's challenges. But the beauty of America is if you work hard, you can succeed. Compared to Africa where resources are limited.
Okay. How was it like to start a business in the United States?
It's very challenging. Like I said, in everything there's challenges, especially if you are an immigrant. The system is there, the opportunity is there. You have to work a little bit harder. But the beauty is there's systems, there's process, and if you're willing to follow it, you can get there.
What are those sectors within the medical sector? What are those areas that are highly marketable that the Africans can actually tap into?
A lot of Africans seems to be successful in healthcare. Yes.
Why do you think most Africans succeed in healthcare?
Most Africans are successful in healthcare, I think, one, because there's a lot of opportunity.
Okay. For example?
Job opportunity. I'm a registered nurse by profession. So as a nurse in the United States, there's a lot of opportunity. You can make pretty much good money. You can set your own budget, and then you have the flexibility. And I think there's a huge shortage in healthcare. So a lot of Africans are into healthcare. whether it's nursing, other practices.
Yeah.
But a lot of the successful Africans, especially in Minnesota, are in the health sector.
Okay.
Yes.
Very, very, very interesting. Now, let's have some comparison, taking a look at running business in Africa, and we compare to the diaspora. Let's have a contrast and compare, such that the viewers can actually decide where to prioritize.
The pros and cons of running business in Africa and the United States, because I actually do both. Or I have experience in both continents. America, like I said, there's a system, there's process, there's resources. If you push hard, you can succeed.
Okay.
Africa, on the other hand, the process and the system is compromised and challenged. Yes.
It's a compromise.
Yes, a lot. And from my perspective, and I'm sure many others, and my experience as well. So it's a lot more challenging to succeed in Africa than America. And I would just give you some examples. I think, and I was asking some friends, I think Africa needs to create the capacity for us, African in the diaspora, to come home to successfully run business. Because a lot of people come, like me, that have a strong passion for Africa and making changes and impacts. A lot of people come and fail, you know. Yeah, a lot of people don't, and I have failed many times and want to give up. But giving up is not an option for me. I keep coming. Yes,
Okay.
and I keep expanding. Yes.
Interesting. That is very amazing. Now, since you've been in Uganda, what are those gaps you've been able to identify that in the health sector that need a breach?
Like I said, I have a lot of friends from here, and they have been inviting me, and we seized the opportunity this week to come in, and we visited one of my partners. Is also a registered nurse that lived in Minnesota for many years. Recently migrated home to Uganda. She took me to see some clinics and health centers in Jinja, some villages around that area. We visited there, and the story is the same. You know, the story is the same.
What's that? Same story.
From country to country and from village to village, the story is the same.
Okay.
And I think one of Africa's bigger problems with the health sector is supplies. Shortage of supplies. As simple as glove. There was a lady that told me that she couldn't get help because she didn't have money to buy gloves. Okay. And the clinic didn't have gloves. So my colleagues that took me said she has to gave money for, many times she found herself giving money to people just to buy supplies in order to get care. So, and I mean, I can go on and on, but yes, it's a challenge.
It's a challenge. Now, if we go to the side of the regulation a little bit, because the authorities in the United States, when you take a look at the systems in place, vis-a-vis the authorities in charge, most especially in the healthcare, talking about the National Drug Authority, how are you looking into beating up to the standards to give the services to the Ugandans?
And again, I'm working with a few other Africans. One of my partners is also from Kenya. And it's amazing because we all come from a medical background and also are entrepreneurs, African entrepreneurs. So we are coming up with, we starting a company is coming out. And the focus of the company is we want to be in East Africa, and that's some of the discussion in Uganda, Kenya, Liberia, and other countries. We want to be able to bring in essential medical supplies and good medication. Because sometimes, from my experience, I have workplaces where the medications are like fake chemicals. They are not real. So we are starting the company to be able to impact health centers, villages. It may not be free, but yes.
Now, something I want to ask you also. When did you last, talking about Liberia, taking a look at, if we take a look at the health sector in Liberia, how can we have a comparison with Uganda if you're to look into that? The fact that this is your home country, do you feel like it is already okay that you decide to come to Uganda? Do you feel like everything is all right in Liberia?
Oh, everything can never be all right, you know.
Yeah.
And one thing I do my work, like I told you, because I have my humanitarian the NGO, and then I have a business that I run.
Okay.
And I use the business to support my NGOs. You know, so like I told you earlier, the story is the same everywhere. And the work I do is without boundaries and it's without borders.
Okay.
Right? It's without boundaries and it was without borders.
All borders.
So we empower health centers in other countries through medical supplies.
Okay.
So we had a warehouse in the United States where people from different countries will come, and it's mainly through partnership.
Okay.
So I do a lot of work in Liberia, because that's my home country, but it's not limited to.
Maybe also would love to know what are the opportunities that are available for the Africans and also Ugandans in the United States of America, or let me make it the diaspora in the medical sector.
The challenges, I mean, the opportunities are there. I think the bigger obstacle is getting there, getting to the U.S. You know, it's getting to the U.S. And then I tell people, we all shouldn't just dream to go to the United States, because I have friends and relatives that don't want to do anything because their focus is going to the embassy every other month to get a visa to go to America.
Yeah.
And Africa is a rich continent. We have a lot. Absolutely. You know, it's important that we focus on also building our life here and you know, making use of the resources. I know it's challenging because there's a lot of factors. Okay. But yeah.
All right, Madame Cole, as I wind this up, we're coming to the end of the year. Any of the words that you have for the viewers, what are those concepts, all those principles that you have been running by for 2024, and they have enabled you to have your business get to some degree? You can give some viewers some advice.
In business, if you're looking at longevity, you have to be transparent. You have to work hard. And you just have to believe in your dream and wake up every morning and, you know, push harder.
Believe in your dream.
Believe in your dream.
You know, you mentioned that word, believe in your dream. It sounds to be like people hear this word every day, but there is power in that. Believing in yourself. Very amazing. Well, it's been a pleasure to have you, Madame Cole, Queen Lay Fangal. I hope I pronounced it well.
Yes.
And thank you for being part of our Business Insight. Well, we're looking at aspects that are transpiring. Like today, we decided to really look into the health sector. How is it like? What are the opportunities that are available for Ugandans in the diaspora? And what are those gaps that need to be linked in Africa and Uganda at the same time? Stick around.